All right, Michael. So, Parasite.
Dongy, we
what's
finally
your thoughts
saw it.
on the best picture of the year for the year 2019?
Well, to put it into perspective, I needed to think about the nominations that came out for the Oscars, and the two frontrunners for the best picture was 1917 and Parasite. And after I saw Parasite, straight away, without even thinking, compared it to 1917. Now, look, they're two completely different films, but I will say this. Parasite had this wicked and brutal satire about wealth disparity, and it just had a good sense of humour, really funny moments in this film, such a clever plot, and really, really strong and compelling characters. I really enjoyed it as a film-going experience. I just enjoyed sitting there and watching it and seeing the drama unfold and seeing it escalate and intensify as the film went further on. And as soon as that storm hits Seoul, you just go, wow, okay, this is really happening. And
I think it's pronounced Seoul.
I think it's pronounced Seoul. I don't know why I said Seoul. It sounds like sea salt, you know, the stuff that you put on your garden. But that's fertilizer, not Parasite. Let's not get those complicated. It was a great film, Dongy.
Yeah.
I really loved it. I could watch it again and again and again.
I've seen it twice already.
You've already seen it twice. There you go.
I saw it after the ceremony, actually. And then I saw it so the ceremony was on Monday, and then I saw it again a few days afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of those films that you can watch a few times over.
Yes.
Just to see the clicks and all the details.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think Bong Joon-ho, the director, in terms of the craft of the technicalities of the film, putting that script to screen was quite, let's say, creative.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's difficult, but I'd say it's quite creative.
It is.
And that's what makes it difficult. Because there's a theme about crossing the line in the film. And we're going to go full of spoilers, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you haven't seen this yet, then you shouldn't be watching this video. Unless you just want it completely blown out of the water for you, because we can be as subtle as possible, but that's not going to happen.
No. So, we're
going to blow it.
So there's a crossing the line, right? The maid.
Yes.
So, the rich family's maid. There's a line through the window, and she crosses it. That's one thing. One of the ones that hasn't been picked up by any of the big
mainstream media. Yep.
Is so there's the 180 degree rule.
Yeah,
so
there is.
So the camera's always on one side of the conversation. Basically, think of it as the same shoulder of the conversation.
You're right about that.
That's where the camera is. And then when the daughter suggests about say art therapy or whatever, the camera literally crosses that 180 degree line. No one that I've talked to has picked up on this. I was like, oh, the audacity,
wow.
The man.
Wow, he did that.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's very clever, you know. It's those things, and it pops up for most of the movie about this thing. The film's like it's like a stage play.
Yep.
You know, it feels like a stage set. You know, it's very square.
You're right.
Very clean.
Yeah, it is very clean.
Even when it's dirty, it feels clean.
It does feel clean. I don't know if that's the movement of the camera or the way it's been, as you said,
I think
it's framed.
It's the set design.
Yeah, the design.
It's a very clean house, and when there's all this rubbish around, you know, spoiler it.
Yeah, oh yeah, they get messy.
Yeah. It's messy, but it feels like it's part of the set.
Exactly. Yeah.
It feels like it's part of
big time.
everything.
Yeah.
And there's always this underlying tension throughout the relationship between the two families.
I agree.
Which, let's talk about.
And you know that's going to bobble above the surface. I mean, another thing, if we're talking about like camera techniques or story techniques, I love how the very opening shot are these dirty socks that are hanging up from there nearly below the surface of the streets of Seoul. Just that very kind of that lovely pan downwards of the dirty socks. And that's why you get a bit of a false sense of security when you watch towards the ending of the film, where you think for a moment the son is going to rescue his father from the underground basement, which we will get into, but there is an underground basement in the house. And there's this kind of this sense of hope that the son will go into the house and reunite with his father. But here am I thinking, Dongy, one of these film rules that I learnt when I was learning about screenplay writing is that you try and match your opening shot with your closing shot. You know, you have obviously the start of your tale and then you have a resolution. And for some reason, I kept thinking about that first shot in the film and I went to myself, I don't think this is the ending. I think this is a possible dream for the son to be able to earn enough money.
I think the way it was framed was it feels like reality, but then we find out it's a dream.
Yeah. And that's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah, because I caught on very quickly to the fact that there's no way this is really happening. No. Because if this is happening, it's kind of a cop-out ending.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what it felt like.
I agree. But I'm glad it was in there. I'm glad that.
And then when the dad walks out, I'm like, why is he like shaven?
Yeah, how did that happen? Oh, then again, they're German. Well, that's right. They're Germans. They wouldn't shave that often, would they?
Yeah, but the house was empty at the time.
Oh, well, that's right. Yeah. Like, did he steal a shaver from one of his boxes or something? I don't know.
The house is just empty.
Maybe he did. Yeah,
if the house is empty, then
there wouldn't be much.
He could just walk out.
Shaving stuff. Yeah, he could. But he almost waited there for his son. But yeah.
But yeah, that's the dream. I saw that. That's a dream.
That's a dream. And that's why after the dream happened and you saw the dirty socks again, I'm like, there's the match from that first shot to the last shot. And that's what good directors do. Even though that is something that's been taught at screenwriting school for years, it's something that American audiences connect with, critics can connect with, and more importantly, the audience will remember that iconic first shot and then that iconic last shot. Nothing's changed. They're still in poverty. They can't get to that other level of poverty or of any wealth. They're stuck.
And that whole disparity of wealth thing, I think, well, I've got a different take to it than what Hollywood might see.
Fascinated to hear it.
Yeah, so I think part of the reason why it won Best Picture because it displays the poverty the class difference between a lower socioeconomic family and a higher socioeconomic family. When I watched the movie, I did not like most of the poor family's characters.
You couldn't connect with them?
I did connect with them. I just didn't like their actions. Because it feels like a certain time has come by and their job seems stable enough and enough family members are working for the family that they could have just moved out of that slum. Yeah, I was a bit surprised that they didn't. And then with the whole clothing situation as well, they weren't taking those necessary steps to really present themselves in a really clean and presentable way. And I think Bong Joon-ho has a different sort of interpretation of it as well. Well, it definitely does because he's the director. To what Hollywood saw, because like this, it's not about rich versus poor. I don't think this movie is about rich versus poor.
No,
there isn't.
I don't think it
there
is.
is an element of that. I think it's more about the mindset between the rich and the poor.
Correct.
Because this rich family, look at it objectively, they did nothing wrong. No, and that's right. That's true. And to me, they were not the most relatable characters, but the most innocent characters in the film. But then again, all this stuff, you just kind of throw it out the window, just suspend your disbelief because it is a movie. Otherwise, if these things didn't happen, you wouldn't have a movie. Exactly. So yeah, there's things about like. I think maybe the attitudes that they had towards the poorer people, the comments about the smell of the clothes, even towards the end, the father, what he said when the guy got murdered in front of him. This picks up, there's a language disparity when it comes to, Hollywood picked this up quite early on. The richer people talk to someone who's lower than them on the social hierarchy in a different manner. Yes, they do. But let me tell you, this in all Asian languages, that is what happens. There you go. So that's an accurate representation. That's a representation of what it is. It is not a statement of like, look at these rich people, how poorly they treat. Like, that's they're just observing what is reality. This is the language they use in the country. And then if all of Asia, basically. Exactly. And if that's the case, then that is depicting reality as best as possible. And look, this family, yes, they're in a poor situation. Yes, they're trying to get out, but they're trying to shortcut their way out of there. They are. And those actions. I don't like those actions.
Yeah.
I would say, well, you know,
Oh, I mean, the way they
I say do it properly. You know
exactly
what I mean?
the way they nearly kill the poor maid who has been working so hard at that house with
For years.
sabotaging her allergies. I mean, that is a big step. You know, looking at and finding that that hot ketchup in the bin that was like a hot sauce and it looks like blood and the way they sabotaged their way into the family. Yeah, you're right. Those actions.
Yeah, I start to like hate. Not like the character, like I still like the characters as film characters. But the characters themselves, I did not.
And the actions, you're right.
Yeah.
Even getting drunk that night at their house, I'm going, oh my god, I can see what's happening.
There's a lot of gluttony, right?
You're right.
There's a bit of
right. You're right.
Overzealous.
The way they treat the house, when they're gone, it is
There's
very
no level
disrespectful.
of respect for being in your master's. Not say your masters, but would you go to an employer's house and
do
treat it like that?
Exactly, exactly. Just because they've earned more money and they've grown up in that position,
they've shown that they have the skills to do whatever the hell they're being hired to do. Why not just keep doing that and
be grateful for it?
I mean, I reckon they could have just hey, can I get an advance payment? I need to move out.
Yeah. I mean, they'd be earning enough money that they could move to the next level of wealth.
Maybe we're. But then again, maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe the socioeconomic class in South Korea, especially, might not be that easy to overcome.
And hey, if they played it safe and they're doing what we're suggesting, you wouldn't have an exciting narrative and an incredible climax.
And the movie does something to say about that socioeconomic disparity. But we wouldn't have a movie otherwise.
What kind of feeling did you have when it all came to a head at that party? After the big storm had happened, you could tell the family were tired. After the cat and mouse chase between the two poor families within the house. I mean, what was that overriding emotion when
a bit of irony?
Yeah, there was a lot of irony there.
I was just like, huh. So they get their just desserts.
Yeah.
For they kind of just stepped over the line too far.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised about the father, the driver's actions?
I was surprised that he just went straight up and killed the other father.
I was
like, oh, wow.
Clearly that comment about the clothing really marinated inside him and made him quite embarrassed and quite angry.
Yeah.
But you saw the way that they were talking to each other before they went out and surprised. You almost thought that the father was reaching out to the poorer father and saying, "Hey, we're mates here," sort of thing.
Yeah, and I guess this is going to go down very well.
Oh wow!
Say, okay, if they were relatively similar in the socio-economic ladder, then that type of dialogue won't come off like that.
Correct.
Because
it won't be at all. Yeah.
Okay, so like the richer father might not have any prejudice against him, but he certainly does against him.
Correct.
Just because he's richer.
Exactly.
And it's not like
purely on that.
And I don't think anything part of the movie depicts him as like someone who cheated their way to being rich.
No.
He seems like he's a CEO of a company.
They have all those little cutouts underground about what he succeeded, Mr. Park. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, and it's just like, why are you sabotaging this man's life while he built everything himself?
Exactly, and he's got a young kid as well.
But I guess Hollywood didn't see it that way because there's a lot of articles floating around being like, but I hope it didn't win for that reason.
As in articles circulating that kind of is justified in the film?
No, it's more like hate the rich mentality.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on.
but it's it kind of reminds me
coming from Hollywood.
I mean, to almost give it a comparison, it's almost like how there were all these articles that came out after the Joker came out about this film incites violence, but it's like, no, this is a film about mental health, you know, and how you deal with people that have mental health.
Parasite is more on the line of inciting violence against the rich than Joker does.
Correct. That's why I find it so ironic that that the way that it was
just
projected.
Because it's a South Korean film.
Doesn't mean it's innocent.
Don't pull your diversity card on me.
Oh my god!
I'm Asian, so I can talk about it, but I'm not South Korean.
But still, I just think, Yeah, I just think
Yeah.
that.
So I use that
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, I just think that that there is a real showing of that, and after I remember thinking about this film and thinking about the American Dream afterwards, because I think Bong Joon-ho is really smart here with his American references. The fact that,
Yeah.
and this is true, like in South Korea, they
love America.
They love America. They learn and study a lot of English. Like that happens. So the tutoring
English
thing lines
is
up.
kind of like if you learn English as a second language, is a prestigious thing.
It is. Hence why the family got a tutoring. And, you think about the pop culture, but also the cultural references to Native America in there with the Pocahontas style tent and
I
stuff.
don't think an American film, if this was filmed in America, I don't think they'd get away with it at all.
No. Particularly arrows and stuff falling around.
I was like, if this was like, Disney or something, I'd be like, there's a lot of hot water here.
Bring back Pocahontas. Yeah, I don't know.
Didn't know Elizabeth Warren was in it. No, sorry, that was a joke.
But I just found it interesting with the American Dream. This whole debate came up when we learnt about The Great Gatsby in high school, and I just kept thinking to myself, the idea of wealth in this film for the poorer family is, this fantasy. It's almost unattainable.
It feels like an ideal that can't be realized when in reality, we know that you just got to work hard.
Exactly, you got to work hard. It's possible.
But it's a movie, so suspend your belief for a bit.
Exactly. You can do that because I remember in the Great Gatsby, he had to achieve his goals through criminal activity. Like he got really rich, but he did it through means that were not legal, and he was just so obsessed with this idea of wealth that it consumed him. And I feel like it also consumed the family, the poorer family, where they
it is a tragedy.
Disrespected.
It's a tragedy of a film.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's the ultimate flaw of our.
Yeah. It's also so like a comedy is so in the Shakespearean language. It's very Shakespearean.
It's very Shakespearean. I was going to say
in Shakespearean language. Comedies.
It's an irony.
It has a happy ending.
It does.
A tragedy is a comedy that has a tragic ending.
Exactly.
So this is like it's that, and there are things in this movie that did make me laugh, and I'm like, yes, this is a lighthearted film. And my gripes about that film, that like I understand why it won Best Picture, and I do believe it deserves it.
100%.
But the film's not perfect.
Oh no, no, by any stretch.
And had a good time. I will watch it more than I will watch it
I'll
again.
watch it again. I'll watch it again. I'll probably watch it this week. It's a great film.
It's a great film.
It's probably the best film of 2020.
Well, my gripes of the film is my suspicion / I don't know. Let's say suspicion about why it won Best Picture, because I hope it won Best Picture because it's a good film.
Yeah.
Not because of the
I agree.
say the message, socioeconomic message that Hollywood thinks it might say.
And do you think as well it's that whole watershed moment of this is the first ever foreign film to win Best Picture? Like it's the first. First ever
Roma
foreign
was
film.
up there last year.
Yeah.
In a poor year.
You're right. I mean, this is a big moment. And the other thing
we'll talk
is,
about the rest of the nominees next time.
We will.
Next time. But yeah, I got a lot to say about that. But yeah, I do believe it deserved. It wouldn't be my pick.
Agree.
Well, you look at these eyes, you're like, oh, it wouldn't be my pick. But but I do think it does deserve it, but not my personal pick.
Interesting.
That's my takeaway.
Interesting.
It's still one of the best films of the year. It's still probably... let's say this bottom line for the best pictures, all right? I think most of these films, besides for The Irishman, Joker, and Ford vs. Ferrari, I think the rest of them were fair game to win Best Picture.
I agree.
This is one of those films. And the whole list of the Best Picture, right? Put them in any other year this decade, they're in the running to win.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's really strong
As
chance.
in top 2 to win.
Yeah. They're going toe for toe. Yeah.
So yeah, real strong film, real strong year for film. So...
And do you think, I hate to also look into the reasons behind it as well, but Bong, I mean, he has worked in some American
Yeah,
productions as well.
he's a great director.
And it's not like he's a complete unknown as
If
well.
you've seen Snowpiercer, if you've seen
Brilliant film.
Okja, if you've seen The Host, he's always crafted stories like this,
Yeah,
where it's like, yeah, it's about two different classes.
exactly.
Or more
Snowpiercer
than
did it
two.
very obviously,
Yeah.
didn't it? Like
Yeah.
you're walking through
But
a
it's
carriage
kind
where
of
it gets
like-
richer and
But
richer.
it's not coming
Oh.
from a. It's just like it's a representation of what it is.
Mm.
Not like it's not trying to be like for her. It's not trying to hoo-ha the audience.
No,
you know what I mean?
no, it's done in a
It
very
doesn't bang you over the head, which I think film should do. But it should also leave that question out there,
yeah.
which it does.
Where to now? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
He deserved it.
yeah.
Good
Okay.
job, Bong. I
Well,
look
yeah.
forward to his next film, whatever that may
Whatever it
be.
may be.
Whether it is another foreign film from South Korea or whether it's a
Yeah.
Hollywood one. I feel like Hollywood are going to try and poach him, though.
I'm gonna take my cardi and be like, oh, maybe he'll find filmmakers such as myself on the stage in several decades' time.
You'd hope so. You'd hope he'd inspire the next generation of filmmakers from whatever backgrounds they may be from.
I believe anybody can be a filmmaker if they wanted to.
100%. 100%. It takes a certain set of skills, but it's possible.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye-bye.